Hi there. Welcome back or welcome to Recovering Out Loud podcast, the show where we get real about mental health and addiction. I'm so glad you're here. If you or someone you love is struggling with drugs or alcohol, please reach out for help. Send me a message on all social media platforms at Recovering Out Loud Pod or by email at recoveringoutloudpod@gmail.com. You are no longer alone. What motivated me to start the podcast? I actually love when people ask me questions.
Okay.
Come on here because, you have to do a lot of listening when you start up. So I learned something. If you like talking, don't start a podcast because it's all about listening, right?
Yeah.
And I love to talk. So I've learned to really listen through this journey and really pay attention to, I guess feelings and what people are talking about and how I can relate, because your story, as we'll find out, is clearly a lot different than mine. But I guarantee you're going to say things today that I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. I get that feeling. I get that. That makes sense to me. Right. And centered around, consequences and drugs and the consequences of drugs and the consequences of my actions and stuff like that. Right.
On drugs.
Yeah, exactly. And I always, I will answer your question, I promise, but I like to talk. I always say this is like, someone, when someone ever says to me man, it's not fair, it's not fair. Life's not fair. I had a counselor once say to me, if life was fair, we would all be dead or in jail, right? Right now. And it's true because my actions, if you look at my life on paper, I should have been dead many times. I should have been in jail many times, but I don't know why. For some reason, I managed to today get through that without the consequences like that. Tomorrow, if I pick up, I don't know. I don't know what will happen. I'll probably end up somewhere else. Right? So to answer your question, what started me, I was in treatment this last time in January, third time in treatment. And I was, again, on my knees, just drugs had brought me and myself had brought me to a place where I was like, how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah.
How did I get here? I had 8 years clean and sober, almost 8 years. And I chose to take my will back and do things my way. And, ADHD medication is the one thing that I can control. That was my thought pattern, right? I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to do it properly this time. I'm going to take it as prescribed. And we probably both know how that ends up. No, and then before I know it, I'm doing new drugs. I'm doing benzos. I'm smoking meth, doing all these things. So I'm in treatment this last time. And there's this guy in there. I love him to death, Will. He had a podcast and he's talking about how much he loves it. And I'm like, man, I've always wanted to do that. And he's like, do it. Straight, didn't even fuck around. He's like, you should do it. And that gave me a little bit of hope because we would watch his on YouTube. And I was like, man, I could do this, right? And
Yeah.
I love I love talking. I thought that it was going to be about that, but I also love hearing people's stories and I love podcasts. I really love podcasts. I listen to them
You have a
every
good
single
podcast
day.
voice too.
Thanks. You have to get over that first, same with social media, but you have to get over the initial cringiness of your own voice, right?
Yeah.
And then you notice it's
Oh, I know. I recorded 2 songs in prison. I wrote and recorded 2 songs as part of the music program.
What kind of music?
It was just pop songs.
Okay.
One of them was a ballad. But this whole music program, they had a professional come in and teach you how to do music. And then I listened to my songs. I was like, ooh, ooh. You get the ick.
And then you're like, never again, right? Oh man. I'm going to ask you something, Emily. Thank you for coming down, by the way. I appreciate it. Welcome to Recovering Out Loud. If somebody could what do you want people to get out of your story? What do you hope that people get out of your story?
That anyone can come back from any horrible situation in their life if they just take ownership of it. So many times people just want to take the victim mentality and blame everyone else. And I did that in the beginning, but that doesn't get you very far at all. So you don't have to go to prison to necessarily make a comeback. And you're going to have to make more than one comeback in your life. I'm just waiting for my next thing. But at least I know that I have the tools and the skill set to be able to kind of get out of that, even if it takes a long time. We go through things every year, almost every week, that are hard to get out of. But the second you kind of build that foundation of knowing how to get out of it, and sometimes you can't rush a comeback. It takes time, right? Yeah. So
this resilience, right?
Yeah. So I don't like that word.
No,
it's so,
why?
I don't know. I just feel it's so, I guess everyone has a
Buzzword?
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
It's like rah for me.
like healing or, I'm trying to think
Just
of
cutting the bullshit.
Yeah.
Cutting the bullshit. Own your shit, cut the bullshit, own your shit, and move on and try to help others at the same time. And I guess that's kind of like how you build resiliency. It's not just, it's a great word for like a lot of people. It's just not a word for me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I totally understand. Yeah. I want to talk about like, what was your childhood like? Do you want to talk about a little bit about what growing up was like in your house and your experiences?
I had a bowl cut, so
Great start.
I don't know where this
90s,
is going. Yeah,
90s bowl cut. Yeah.
Honestly, great parents. I was a middle child of 3 daughters. We're all 3 years apart. Pretty close family. We did all the normal things. Went to church. Church was part of our life. Although I didn't behave very well in church, my dad had to incentivize us with Timbits for good behavior. I started learning more about the lessons of church like when I was like a little bit older, but we did all that. I was in like a lot of clubs, played a lot of sports because I had a lot of energy and I was always a learner. And then elementary school was kind of where like people started being mean to me, and so I kind of just became an introvert. I mean, everyone goes like, it could be like, oh, I was bullied, that's why I went to prison. No, like that's crap. So like everyone goes through shitty experiences as a child. Childhood is just childhood. Some like, I guess for me, becoming an introvert and then also not knowing how to socialize kind of led to my drug use though, for sure. Because I didn't know how to talk. So in high school, I was like, well, I'm just going to get a Colt 45, 2 zigzags.
Baby, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what do you think that like, do you want to explain a little bit more about what the alcohol and drugs did for you in the beginning?
In the beginning, it was the key to socialization, the key to meeting people. I was pretty shy, and I did feel like kind of a bit of an outcast. And then I did a lot of heavy, grade 9, I wouldn't say I did heavy drugs. I smoked weed. I didn't even like weed. I don't even know why I smoked it.
Same.
I was like, what am I doing? I'm like greening out at school. And it made me like the opposite of like what I wanted to be. Like it just made me more awkward.
Yeah. My wife always says, she's like, I never liked weed. And I never heard it said this, but it's so true. Said like this. She's like, I always hated weed because it like took away my personality completely. Yeah. And I was like, yes, that was me too. Right.
Yeah. Whereas alcohol, it brought it out a little bit more. And then cocaine just helped me stay out like a little bit later. And MDMA I really liked in high school, but then I was like obviously acting out and my parents were sick of it. I went from like being a really nice kid. I was very friendly. I was really happy. I was always planting trees and like volunteering, like, just generally happy. But then it was kind of those troubling years and later on in elementary school and then high school that I know some would say is pretty normal teenage things, but obviously I took it a bit too far.
Yeah. And so like what happened? What was the moment where it went too far and you kind of needed to make a change or realize that it wasn't working for you anymore?
Well, I knew that in high school I had this little tactic. It was called strategic procrastination. So I knew that.
Go on. I love this.
So I knew that even if I got like crap grades in grade 9 and 10, as long as I got good grades in grade 11 and 12, I could get into university.
Right.
And so I knew that when I wanted to turn it off, I could turn it off and turn it back on again. And that's exactly what I did. I got into the University of Guelph. Mind you, I wanted to go in for business. My math grades weren't good enough because I didn't want to take calculus. Like it was
hard.
I just didn't want to take it. I was like, screw it. And then I couldn't get it. I also loved like nutrition and stuff because I was always into like exercise and fitness and all that. But then my chemistry wasn't good enough. Despite the fact that I had this like really nerdy guy that I got to do my homework, I still
Classic. Sounds like Mean Girls.
He was actually really, really nice. So I ran into him like on the bus like a couple years ago and I was like,
Thanks for doing all my homework.
Yeah, it was great. It was very nice. Dissecting pigs and all that stuff. I think it was biology.
That was grade 11.
That was different class.
I remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, so then in grade 11, grade 12, I just got my grades up, went to university. So I think the turning point number 1 for me was actually in university when I got a DUI. Like I was drinking, driving, and I couldn't figure out how to stop. I didn't know why I couldn't stop. And I deliberately drank and drove in front of like a police officer so that I'd get pulled over so I could stop. It's like I sabotaged myself.
I'm getting goosebumps as you say that. Sorry to cut you off, but like it's all because that happened to me too with benzos, where I would do benzos, get in the car, and then I would go to my parents' house for no reason. And today I see it as like a subtle cry for help, kind of subconsciously, right? It's like, although I didn't really want to go and get help, my body and my soul, maybe, I don't know, was like, help me, right? But I don't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
So if you show up at your parents' house high on benzos, that's a good way to show that you're hurting and ask for help.
Yeah.
My dad tells me I repeated the same story like 6 times, and so there in my words like this. And so yeah, that was my thought on it. Anyways, yeah, sorry.
Oh no, that's interesting. You got to talk too, you know.
Yeah,
it's conversation. It's not a monologue.
It's about you. Yeah. But yeah, so you purposely were crying for help, maybe.
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
Because I knew that it was wrong and it was bad, but I still, once that booze kicked in, I couldn't stop. And so I was like, what is it going to take for me to get caught? Because I knew that it was selfish, but I was still doing like these things for God knows what reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I just could not. It's because I had my parents' car, so I thought it was going to be cool driving around. Like, I don't know. Like, anyway, so I did the Back on Track program, and luckily I got caught in the best way ever. You know, I got pulled over, pled guilty, no one got hurt. And like, but why I chose that tactic when it could have been way worse, I don't know. But after that day, it's like I never did it again.
What's Back on Track program?
It was this mandatory program that you had to take like after you get a DUI. So you can either, everyone has to take it, but for me, because I was still in university, I didn't even have a car. So they're like, oh, you can put the breathalyzer in your car.
Oh yeah, okay.
For a year, but the program itself was just like a program my dad had to take me to like sit in a circle, and it was like educational. But then they're like, you can have this thing in your car for a year, or you can just wait another year after your license has been suspended and have no thing. So I was like, well, I don't have a car anyway. So I just took the 2-year suspension. And it was, yeah.
And then after that, did that stop like your drinking and using? And then like, how did what ended up happening?
That stopped my drinking and driving. And then I was like, oh my God, I never want to be this drunk. And that's when the cocaine started, stimulants, because I didn't want to be that drunk person. Yeah. But I still wanted to go out. So I graduated, like it was pretty tame in university, honestly, because it was expensive and I was so I couldn't afford it. Yeah. I think we did like more Molly than anything else, but I graduated with honors. I did everything I was supposed to do. So I didn't see really anything as a problem. And the DUI was definitely a problem, but all the other times I was just doing what everyone else was doing. So I wouldn't say it was catastrophic behavior. Yeah. But it was in 2013 when my parents got a divorce, and it was really hard on the family. That's when I was living in Toronto. I had my own business I was on my own schedule. And quite frankly, I was drinking every day. Like I lived in Liberty Village and trying to kind of cope from this thing that was going on, but also putting my energy somewhere, right? And big cities are very easy places to hide addiction. It's like no one cares how many drinks you have. No one knows, right? And cocaine's nothing. It's like, oh, let's do it, right? It's not like you're going off and hiding doing it.
Everyone's like a lot. I used to think everyone was doing it, but turns out a lot of people don't.
Oh.
But the people you start to hang out with, it just, it becomes a norm, right?
Yeah,
and I don't know about you, but I always looked for, I've heard the term lower companions. I don't really like that term, but like people that were quote unquote worse than I was, because it made me feel better about how bad I was and where I was at. So people that maybe had professions that were not as good as I was, quote unquote, right? Or people that were doing harder drugs than me. And you start to frequent. I love that. It's like in a big city, it is really easy to kind of just blend in and hide. And you start ending up, at least for me, like I started finding out these new after hours and booze cans and places where you could do drugs openly in establishments. And I loved it. Like I thought it was amazing that all these people were, headed down the same path as me. Cause I knew, same thing like you, I knew it was not good for me. I knew it wasn't sustainable, but I couldn't get out of it for so long.
I need it to be extreme, whether it's a behavior or a consequence.
Yeah. Black or white.
Yeah.
All in. And I think that's what ultimately leads you to entrepreneurship. And so do you want to talk about like the journey between getting help, maybe going into like, how did you end up in prison?
I ended up in prison because when I was going through all this stuff with my family, I met someone through my work who was sober and had gone through it before. We did some business together. We were pretty close. Like you'll see some people say, oh, is your boyfriend? He wasn't that. Like we were just very close. We had this love for each other, but it wasn't like this big sexual thing. So I don't know where people got that term boyfriend, because I think in my legal paperwork, that's what they decided he was to me when he wasn't. So anyway, we go on this trip, and then 3 days into the trip, he's like, did you really think this is all fun and games? We're here to work. And then it all kind of like came back to me, because like a couple days before, he just came over to my apartment And he's like, hey, like, I want to take you on this trip, but there's something I got to ask you. I'm like, what? He's like, well, do you want to make some cash and bring drugs back? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, absolutely not. Like, I traveled a lot in my life. I lived in Indonesia. I worked for the Ministry of Affairs. I volunteered all around the world. And so, like, my passport was really valuable to me.
Yeah.
And the sense that someone was thinking that I would do that or I wanted to do that, I was making money. I didn't need money. So I was so pissed. So I was like, just get like it. And it came to me as a shock. Because this person that was sober, that was like helping me do like little things like walk my dog. It was like those little things, not these big grandiose gestures, but things to help you like just get to the next day. Like, how did this even come up? Like, how did it go from that to this? And so I was just pissed. And so we kicked him out. And then I go out that night and he's like, hey, listen, I don't know where that was coming from. I'm so sorry. Like let's just go on a trip and nothing weird will happen. I was like, you know what? I believed him. I took that one bad thing that happened that day, that weird thing. But I like reminded myself of all the good things that he did. So I was like, okay, I believed him. And so like there was that question that was proposed to me earlier. It's not like I went down there and there was no talk about it. Like he had asked me prior and I was just mortified and mad. And then, but when he asked me, like he knew that I was going out that night. So he's like, oh, she'll get a couple drinks in her and be like, yeah, okay, trust it. Like, and then 3 days in, I have to get in the car, go to this house. It's got bricks and bricks of cocaine in the walls. It's like strapped to my body and I have to wear this really ugly ass dress. It's like that covers the drugs. It looks like a Kleenex box. It's shoved under my dress.
Yeah. Jeez.
And obviously he's like, yeah, I'm in a lot of debt. These people. So I guess when he booked the tickets, he sent my passport info alongside his because he owed money to these cartel people or whoever they were. God. So I just want to go home. Like I was not a good gangster, obviously. So I just wanted to go home. And when we got questioned at the border, the last question they asked me was like, we're going to do a physical search on you. So I had to say yes, or else I'm not going to lie to a federal agent. And then that landed me 4 years in federal prison.
Jesus.
So again, owning your shit.
Why do you think they asked you to search? Like, that's not normal, right?
Well, our body language was way off. Number two, they're actually tracking him. So he had done this trip multiple times and they're like, who? Because like he had a wife too. So they're like, that's not his wife, or like an ex-wife or something. But like I guess they were like separated. I don't know.
Didn't add up though. Yeah.
Nothing added up. But so then after I got arrested, it was 2.5 years on house arrest and really coming to terms with how like my substances had got me there. I mean, everything else was kind of a surprise, but I knew that I had to address something. Like it was like, come on. Like I'm not blaming this guy. I'm not blaming the system. I blamed him for a bit. I was mad.
Sure, yeah.
But then I was like, no one's going to fix this but you. And it was really fucking annoying just sitting in emotional anguish for a year and a half because that wasn't me. So that was like weed was taking away my personality being in that state.
Yeah. They always say resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies, right? Like every day I'm just
I've never
festering.
heard that.
You ever heard that one?
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's like I'm festering over this every single day and the guy's probably not even thinking about it, right? Or he's not thinking about my resentment or whatever. Maybe he is, but he's renting space in my head and I'm the only one suffering. I always tell people it's like, and trust me, I'm a hypocrite. Like when I get resentments, I forget that quickly. And it's like, oh, don't you like, and it's all ego, right? Like it's all you versus me. I'm right. You're wrong. But I love what you said. It's like it takes away your personality because all you're thinking about is the resentment. And I always relate it back to, it's like being a drug addict too. All you're thinking about is getting drugs, doing drugs, acquiring money to get the drugs. Then you're thinking about how I'm going to survive tomorrow with more drugs. And it's like this, how can you be yourself when you're in that state of constant planning and premeditation, right? Yeah. Resentment's very similar. It's like all I'm thinking about is how I'm going to get this guy back, how I'm going to, win, how I'm going to succeed, how I'm going to whatever.
Yeah.
So I can completely relate to that. So he ended up getting house arrest?
He got the same amount of time as me because our lawyers like just separated the case, and I'm not going to testify against him. It's pretty obvious I brought these drugs over this border. I'm not going to testify against people that he knows because I don't even know what's true. Yeah. My poor family, they're innocent victims. Like I had to drain my savings. I had some savings, but they still had to help me. And so they were just like, Emily, like this is kind of like the last straw, and like good on them, right? Because if they didn't say that, if they didn't give me that ultimatum, maybe I wouldn't have taken it seriously as I did.
So you go to prison. What was that like?
Prison was like, honestly, I was ready for it because I saw it. I kind of began to reframe prison as not prison, but like a form of freedom. You know, it was somewhere where I was like, hey, number one, it's like rehab, which I definitely needed.
Yeah.
I was going to see it as educational because I could read as many books as I wanted, and I took advantage of the library system. And I also saw it as a way to like also like get it like my own business degree. Like I started to build this idea of this business inside. So it's like I went to business school, rehab, and took a sabbatical at the same time. I'm not going to spend $50,000 on legal fees and have it amount to nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, I saw this as an investment. And that was after like being mad for a year. Like,
I was going to say, like, that doesn't come right away.
No,
right?
I had to be mad for a good year and a half. I breached my bail, got caught getting cigarettes, like just kicking and screaming. And then it was just like, my lawyer was like, Emily, we know that you're a good person, but if you just don't follow these rules, like we can't prove that. So that was kind of like the turning point. And that's when I was like, all right, I started to research where I was going. I ended up meeting a few people by chance that had been to the same prison I was going to, like just through volunteering. And that's how these things happen. Like you go to volunteer somewhere and then you just happen to meet someone that had been to prison for the exact same thing. It's like kind of how like the world works. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was ready.
I mean, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, kind of throws people in your life, right? And you can either pick it up, the signs, or you can ignore it completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So you're in there. You had to serve the full thing, or did you
I served it in the, so I did like, the Canadian prison system. If you are a good inmate, which I was like, I'm getting out of here, then you are eligible for day parole after 1 6-year sentence, right? So that's a halfway house. So you're eligible for full parole after a third. And that is living on your own, basically. So because I had no violent history, I was good in prison, nothing happened. Like I didn't do drugs in prison. Like a lot of people, and I have my family and my friends to thank for this, because if you don't have support in there, it's very hard to find motivation to change, right? But even the people in prison that I was in there with were like great. So that's who I advocate for every day. It's like we're not these menaces, and the majority of people in prison majority of women in prison are moms, right? And they get caught up. So I served it all, but in different ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's amazing to hear that you were able to shift your perspective like that. I think a lot of people need to hear that that's possible, because like you said at the beginning, everyone's going through shit, right? Like there's people out there right now in prison that maybe they just made a mistake, right? Like one mistake in their life and they end up, paying the price. I've been to prison only once, and it was on the other side as of today.
In US?
No, here.
What's the other side?
It was a jail. Like I brought in, I volunteered there.
Okay.
Yeah, I meant like
That's the other side of the border?
Yeah, no. So like the other side of the prison. And so I was able to sort of see and sit down with these guys. And I think it really does shift your perspective on people, right? And like prison inmates. And it's true. Like there's a lot of them that want to change. And the guys that I was sitting down with had a problem with alcohol and they wanted to get sober. And it was just amazing to sit beside these guys and hear how they were changing their life or planning to, and they were staying sober and doing all these things. Cause you mentioned, it's pretty easy to use drugs and alcohol in prison if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Did you find that was a challenge to stay sober through that?
No, because I was done. I was like, and that was like where my rebelliousness kicked in again, because it's like people think this is going to be the end. So it's like you can take your rebelliousness and your need for revenge and turn it into something really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So, but it's harnessing that same energy, right? So I was like, no one's going to tell me what the rest of my life is going to be. I am going to do this. I also didn't necessarily see myself. I think like maybe not until recently that I really wasn't an addict. I just medicated instead of celebrated. So like that's when I was like, hey, I can like have a couple of drinks. I definitely don't, but you can't put yourself in an environment where there's like piles of cocaine, because what are you going to do in that environment? But I can go out to a restaurant and have a couple of drinks and be fine. Like I'm not going to go into this like downward spiral.
Right.
That's when people are like, oh, you're an addict for the rest of your life. And I was like, well, I never really saw it as that. And that's actually been a sign of strength for me, a source of strength for me. Cause like I didn't give up that control, but everyone's different.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like a lot of people I know, like they can't, it has to be one or the other, feast or famine, basically.
Yeah, that's me. I've tried many times to moderate and try back doors, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point where
you can't.
It just took me down like every time it took me down a road I never saw. Like I didn't even know existed, right? Like it just, again, new drugs, hanging out with different people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with. And then ultimately at the end of the day, when all is said and done, everyone goes home, I'm left with me and I just hate myself, right? Like
Yeah.
Forget about all the outside circumstances. What's going on in here when I relapsed was just the word. Because too, like I saw how good life could be sober and completely sober.
Yeah.
And then I saw how bad, hanging out with the devil every night. And
Yeah.
I always say that. It's true. Like I literally felt like I was hanging out with the
devil. Dance with or what is it? You make a deal with the devil and they always come back to collect.
Yeah. Yeah, he came back all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, and that's why I'm really happy that you came on too, because it doesn't have to be about complete abstinence for everybody. Like everyone's path is different. When I came into recovery, I was the guy that was like, nope, you're either in or out. Like I was very hard-headed about that because again, I have this thing where I think that what works for me works for everyone else and you have to follow my plan. It's all ego, right? I've come a long way since then. And when I started this podcast, I really met a lot of people that don't follow the same path that I follow and they're happy.
Yeah.
So who the fuck am I to tell them that they have to recover my way, right?
Yeah.
It's like whatever works for you works for you. And then I started now working with guys and coaching and therapy and going back to school and all these things. And I try not to come out the gate with, you got to do 12-step, you got to do that, because like, first of all, that makes people run the fuck away because they don't like being told what to do. And also that might not work for them.
Yeah.
It might not. It works for me and I
run your
it.
own race, as they say.
There you go. So how did you get into your business that you have now and how did that happen? I see you getting excited.
Yeah, that's what you're
that
for.
makes me happy because like I can tell passion is awesome.
Passion's great. So when I was in prison, I met so many people that were just like me, like people that had made mistakes, were so misunderstood. Some of it might have been financial reasons. Some of it might have been like substance abuse issues. Some of it might have been violence. Fraud. A lot of it was fraud, actually. But everyone that I met in there realized that they did something wrong. And the people that didn't, there's also so much mental illness, unfortunately, where people are just housed together who shouldn't even be in there.
Interesting.
But we all like talked about like the things that we did before prison and the jobs that we had and the passions that we had, but how the workforce or like the corporate world still condemns you as a person when you're done your time, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter if you did your time, you're still, you have a record, you can't, you're not employable. And I was like, I just didn't believe that because I was like, I know that I'm working my ass off to prove to myself and other people that, this is never happening again, but also taking accountability, responsibility, and seeing how I, not just how I can learn, but also what others are teaching me. I learned from so many other people in there as well. And I also became very grateful for like the family that I did have. And I was like, what? Popcorn was a popular prison snack. Like we'd all make like different recipes. Food, like we cooked a lot of our own food because I was in medium because I wasn't violent. And we just talk about stories from home. And so home creating over food. Food is like a blank canvas for storytelling and connecting and really unifying everybody. So back to the popcorn it's been one of my favorite snacks because part of my addiction, like I don't say addiction, but whatever it was, part of my substance use was triggered actually by food issues. It was concurrent. And so I was in prison. I didn't want the food thing to come back up again. So I was
You mean like not eating?
Yeah, eating disorder. Okay. Yeah. Because I didn't want
I've dabbled with that too.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not relapsing here. I am not, because that controlled me for 10 fucking years. And I was like, no. So I made sure that I ate like healthy stuff. I exercised, which was awesome. And so I healed my relationship with food while I was inside. And then I was like, why don't I start a popcorn company where I can employ people, have like really interesting flavors with an interesting mission. And that's to employ formerly incarcerated. And that's what it started with popcorn kernels and stamps. And I would write letters. I read 82 books. We all told our own stories. And that's when I was like, I want to prove everyone else wrong and prove ourselves right. And it's going to be hard, but here we are.
And so the name of the company is Comeback Snacks.
Yeah.
And so what does your operation now look like? Like what does that look like?
We're in 1,500 stores across the country. We didn't take investment for the first 3 years, so I bootstrapped all of it. But it's all because I worked with the community. I worked with the volunteers. I went to the churches. Like I practiced my storytelling at schools and different places. So building up this network. And then I also shared it with the local paper, which then it was picked up by the Toronto Star. And of course I knew I was going to take some heat. Like there's going to be people that are just nasty. But at that point, it didn't even faze me because I was like, I talk like that to myself.
Yeah. I talked worse to myself. Yeah.
And then also like in the system, like the prison guards aren't nice to you. Like they treat you like crap, So it's like you're already used to kind of this. So it just fuels your fire. I hate that quote, haters are my motivators, but it is kind of true. Like you don't focus on them like they're your motivators. Like again, like that revenge kind of like control, but you're just like, all right, fine. If that's what you think, then see you later.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we have 5 flavors, and I've employed 15 people over the course of like 5 years that have all been incarcerated. So
Nice.
yeah.
Wow. And so you said 1,500 stores?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's amazing. Where do you see it in the future? Like, where do you want to bring it? What's the next thing?
Continue to grow in Canada. So we're just kind of tapping into different channels that we never really imagined ourselves in, like office snacks. We're in a lot of arenas. We're in Scotiabank Arena. We're in Rogers Center,
Wow.
Bud Stage. Working a lot with like fundraising divisions, grocery, gas and convenience. Hotels are a big one. Wineries, breweries, beer and popcorn go well together.
Yeah.
And like just events as well. So building that up, the States, the time will come, but just not right now. Just more spread across Canada.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, can't go there anyway. Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing. If you could go back and sort of like change it all and not take the path that you can, whether it's addiction, you know, pick a life where it was like not involved with addiction, do you think you would take that life?
I don't even know how to answer that, because you're only born once. So how could I I think it's just in my genes. Like, it's my energy. Like, I read about a lot of entrepreneurs and creatives that kind of have these similar habits. So if I was to take a different path, I'd have to be born a completely different person, and I wouldn't want to be born a different person.
Nice. Yeah.
Right? So if this is where it took me, that's where it took me. But because of like the way that we are wired to kind of get in and get ourselves into situations, but our ability to get ourselves out, I don't think I'd choose any other life. But I would take back like all the times that I hurt my family.
Yeah.
Because they were innocent victims in that case. For sure. That's what I worked so hard to fix and to heal. And, we're on great terms now. But again, it's not overnight. It's not, it takes a long time, and it has to be a repeated behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust is built in small moments, right? Like over time. Trust is time, essentially. And we get sober or we get back to whatever, come back. We come back and we
see what you did there.
Yeah, I like that. Right? I'm like thinking of the name of the episode in my head as I talk. It's got to be something amazing, but I'll figure it out. And we expect everyone to be like healed, right? Mm-hmm. Or like I'm healed because I spent all this time in prison or whatever. And you come back and it's not the case. Like, people need their own time, right? They need their own healing path, like we talked about before. I think that's one of the hardest things that addicts have to accept is that I can't, just like you, mom, couldn't stop me using and drinking, I can't heal you, right? It's kind of like this two-way thing.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to accept,
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of parents for my job that are trying to get their loved ones into treatment. And you can really tell pretty quickly, like, how far along the acceptance, ladder they kind of are with it all. And trying to tell people, the hardest part of my job with talking to loved ones is telling people that they can seek help themselves. Well, why do I have to fucking change, right? He's the one using and drinking. Like, it's not my problem, it's their problem. It's like, no, you play a part in this whole family dynamic. You know what I mean? You didn't cause the addiction, you didn't cause the jail, no, I'm not saying that, but there's a part here where you either enabled or did something along the way, and now there's a part for you to heal too, right? And get your own sort of healing. Yeah. So, because again, you can't fix anyone.
Absolutely. Like, and I know for me, just for my chemical healing, I guess because I'll admit, like, before I went to prison, I went on a bender, you know what I mean? Like, so
the last bang. Yeah.
So I was like, I knew that I needed, if I went in for a month, it wouldn't have helped. I knew that I needed at least a year to completely recalibrate my brain and my thought process and all that thinking chemically and mentally, right? So that's why I was glad that I was in for that amount of time. If I was in for like 3 months, I would have been a little bit more nervous, because I'm like, I think if it was 3 months, I still would have been thinking, what am I going to do when I get out? Not like, what can I do now? Whereas I knew that I was in for at least a year. It's like, what can I do now? Instead of, when am I getting out?
Yeah. What do you do today when life sort of lifes you? Like, how do you get through struggles today? Is it easier, do you think, because of what you went through, or?
I think you have to allow yourself to be sad. The last time I didn't allow myself to be sad. Because I had this business, I was just trying to focus on like what I was doing and being a successful business owner, and like just not wanting to compartmentalize anything. And so like now it's like, okay, you can compartmentalize, put something over here, be sad about it. And that's okay. Like you can't dwell on it, but you also have to like allow yourself to feel things. Whereas before I didn't. I was like, cocaine was Botox for the soul.
Botox for the soul.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. It's almost like, it just completely numbs it. Like whatever. It's a quick fix or whatever. I like that. That's good. If you could say something, sorry, I want to say one more thing before I ask you the last question because I just remembered it now. But I find that, that really hit me actually today. Like allow yourself to be sad because I've spent a lot of time not doing that. What happens to me is life will happen, something will happen, and I want to fix it right away. And I want to jump into whatever I need to do to please whatever. I'm a people pleaser, do this, that. It's like, no, like, you need to take a second and just like acknowledge that you're human and you're allowed to feel feelings and it's okay, but you don't have to dwell in it. Like you said.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that though? Like, how do you get from, I don't know, like, what does that process look like?
Well, it starts with anger, number one. Like, first you're mad, you want revenge, and then I just was tired of being sad. I was like, I only have one life. I don't want to be like this. I hated feeling like that, but I knew it was necessary. I know it is necessary. Like, obviously, if you have a shit couple days, then, you have to let yourself feel that and make sure you're around the right people, because some people will tell you to do the complete thing that's actually not good for you, right? Like sometimes I told the wrong people when I was sad about like my family splitting up. They're like, well, aren't you old enough? And it's just like, so I wasn't allowed to be sad.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, well, fuck you then.
Yeah.
So
No, it's true. Yeah. And a lot of those problems come from childhood when, if you cry, like being a boy growing up in Italian European household, there was a lot of times where it was like, you don't really show emotions. Right. And that ends up affecting you down the road where you're not able to show emotions anymore. So I love that. Surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. And sometimes it's going to take a while to figure out. Sometimes you're going to surround yourself with the wrong people and then you learn. Yeah. And so you're more cautious and you're more careful. And that's also a part of learning. Yeah.
Right. You know what to look for next
and you'll know when you're tired of being sad. You'll know. You'll be like, screw this. Like, I'm over it. Now, then, like, you gotta also move on and do things like I don't know. I love my dogs going to the gym, but I don't surround myself with people when I'm going through the sad phase that are going to make me angry. Go take me back a step, because that's the first step, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or gossip, or yes people, right? The people that you should beat that guy up.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's end with this. If you could say something to someone who is trying to start a new venture or a company or dream, goal, passion, and they're really struggling right now, what do you say to that person?
Give me a call. I'll help them.
Love it.
Yeah. Honestly, call me. I'm here to help. And I had a lot of help building mine. Every person that I wrote a letter to, like, that's how I built my mentorship network. So I'm here to help. Yeah. I guess that's it. Like, right.
Having a good mentor.
Yeah, have a good mentor, and then if I can help you, I'll introduce you to someone who can, because I obviously don't know everything.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that too. There's a bit of humility there too. Where can we find you, Emily? Where can we find
Popcorn or me?
Well,
me? Well,
do you have like social media? Like,
at Comeback Snacks is the company one, but my personal one where I share more of my own journey is ems.o'brien.
Okay, and I'll write that in the notes too, so people can follow along too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I had a great time.
Yes.
Awesome.
And now you know that the Marshall amp is a fridge.
Yeah, the Marshall amp is a fridge, and I'm going to use it going forward. Yeah, for non-alcoholic beverages and etc. Awesome.
Thanks for listening. Please help us grow the channel and like, share, and subscribe for more content. The discussions and stories shared on this podcast are for informational and motivational purposes only. This content is not a substitute for professional medical advice, addiction treatment, or therapy. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please consult a licensed physician, addiction specialist, or mental health professional. You are no longer alone.